We've seen this big row, obviously, recently about the Columbia University student who was alleged to be pro-Hamas. It seems to be a bit of a foggy picture as to whether he was or not. But this principle of deporting students for their political allegiances or views, where do you sit on that? Bernie Sanders says this is not democracy. You can't exile political dissidents, not in the United States.
Anna Kasparian goes on Piers Morgan, uncensored, and takes an absolutely delusional stance, arguing that foreign students or green card holders should have the same rights as U.S. citizens and shouldn't be deported under any circumstance. I guess waking up to common sense is a slow process for some people. Let's get into it.
Well, I mean, our government will certainly try to do that as long as the government of Israel demands it. And our government, whether you're talking about Democrats or Republicans, is completely controlled by the Israeli government, and they're going to do the Israeli government's bidding. That's what this is really about. That's all it is. So protesters who are legal residents, permanent residents who have green cards, will be deported simply for exercising their freedom of speech and criticizing how the Israeli government is prosecuting this war in Gaza, slaughtering tens of thousands of innocent women, children, elderly people, civilians. They're going to continue the slaughter. They don't want any backlash from anyone in the United States about it, including American citizens, including permanent residents. And remember, Miriam Adelson and the Adelson family overall gave Donald Trump hundreds of millions of dollars to not do what's right for the United States, but to do what's right for Israel. So Donald Trump is going to do that. He's transactional. Money talks for him, and he doesn't care. He'll go ahead and revoke green cards and deport valedictorians, students who have been in this country since they were 7 years old, were valedictorians in high school. But God forbid they ever ding or criticize the Israeli government, because that's when they'll become a target.
What if they actively support? What if they actively support Hamas?
Look, I despise Hamas, and it disgusts me that anyone would say anything positive about Hamas. But our freedom of speech indicates that we are allowed to even be supportive of the KKK, be supportive of Nazis, be supportive of terrorist
But that
groups.
applies to American naturalized citizens. If you've come in on a green card, right? If you say on your green card you support a organization that is a prescribed terror group in the United States, you don't get your green card. That is the argument Marco Rubio made. I thought it was quite a good one. I mean, I haven't got a green card, but I have a visa. And they're very stringent about all these kind of things, right? If you aligned yourself with a terror group,
you know that.
If you aligned yourself with a terror group, you wouldn't get in. So why should you stay in? Is my point.
Well, visa and a green card is hold on, Piers, hold on. Visa and green card is different, as you know.
Of course, yeah.
Someone who's a permanent legal resident is, it's like one tiny step lower than a naturalized citizen. And the point is, whatever allegation the Trump administration is making against these green card holders, it needs to be adjudicated by a judge. Again, it goes back to the issue of due process. If you guys are comfortable with an executive branch official, simply one person unilaterally deciding without any due process that someone has done something wrong and now their green card should be revoked, I think that's setting a really, really bad and dangerous precedent. Again, that concentrates too much power among a very small group of people, and I think people deserve due process. Have a judge weigh in and determine whether or not this person is actually a threat to the United States or our national security, and then make that decision.
But Benny,
I don't think anyone in America should want Hamas sympathizers on U.S. soil. These people aren't citizens, they're guests holding green cards, and guess what? That doesn't come with a golden ticket to say, if you're supporting terrorists, that's not how it works. Then Anna Kasparian jumps in with the classic leftist deflection, blaming Israel. When in doubt, blame the Jews, right? They always manage to slip in that anti-Israel dog whistle. Let's be clear, this isn't about some foreign influence, it's about national security. If you're out there waving the Hamas flag, chanting in support of terrorism, you don't belong here, period. Let's get something straight. Criticizing Israel isn't the issue. Supporting Hamas is. Big difference. You want to protest, march, chant, write your college thesis on Gaza? Be my guest. But the second you promote or defend a terrorist organization, you should be kicked out. That's not fascism. That's just basic immigration law. And Marco Rubio nailed it. It's simple. If you openly support Hamas, an officially designated terrorist organization by the U.S. government, you don't get to stay here. America isn't a hotel for radicals. It's a home, and homes have locks for reasons.
For some reason, they don't want to do that.
All right, Benny, Trump has banned the AP from the White House, refusing to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. He's kicking out student protesters for having views he doesn't like. He wants CNN to be banned from the airwaves and so on. A lot of people saying, hang on, aren't you supposed to be Mr. Free Speech, Mr. President? Aren't you and Elon Musk the standard bearers of free speech? What happened to free speech? Is it only free speech when you like what you're hearing?
I love the way that you ask these questions, Piers. You're like my schizophrenic aunt. It's like Thanksgiving dinner after a box of wine. Because in 1 second, you're like, Anna, this scum should have been deported as a member of Hamas. This scum said that they need to be out. And he said the end of Western civilization is what they're here for, which, in fact, they did. And then in the same question, you're like, Trump's just deporting students because he doesn't like what they say.
Right.
You can't have it both ways, Piers.
Is
this guy a supporter of a terrorist group?
As somebody asking the questions, I can ask you all difficult questions phrased in different ways. The one thing you just said that really offended me, I would never drink wine out of a box, ever. Ever.
Well, that's how we know Piers didn't go to... Piers, you must not have gone to college in America.
No, I did not. That, for me, crosses a massive red line. I'm a bottle man. Anyway, but Benny, Brian
and Benny are going to team up and gang up on Piers. Do we have
Benny? I think
the most
the
ambitious
one thing you'll
crossover
ever
event
get
in American history.
The one thing you'll get buy-in from me on is that I will defend Franzia wine till my dying day.
Then you're going to lose me immediately. But Benny, back to slightly less serious matters, free speech.
Respect.
But on this issue of free speech, has the Trump administration been consistent? We might find this student, Mahmoud Khalil's views loathsome. There's no apparent, so far, hard evidence he has been pro-Hamas, and he disputes that. If it turns out he's not been actively pro-Hamas and we can't find actual words coming out of his mouth to show that, is it right that a green card holder in America should be thrown out of the country?
Listen, I'm not an expert on this case. I'm not a green card expert either. So I'm just going to go very quickly to the simple example of you're a guest here, all right? And if you go to another country, and Americans go and travel abroad to tons of countries, every country on earth right now has an American traveling abroad. If that American decided to support a terrorist faction or behave in a way that was criminal and illegal, right, which is what was happening when you were barricading and burning down and harming students and threatening students, then expect to be kicked out of that country. It's pretty logical, right? And I don't think that free speech has anything to do with it. And
boom, Benny just dropped the hammer. You're a guest, not a citizen. America has rules. If you support terror, light fires, and threaten students, you're out. It's not personal, it's patriotic. And as far for Trump doing whatever Israel wants, maybe, just maybe, he's doing what's best for Israel, which also happens to be good for the United States. Because Israel is America's only stable ally in the Middle East. Or maybe he just doesn't want Hamas-loving lunatics terrorizing Jewish students on U.S. campuses. Imagine that. So what did we learn besides Piers Morgan not drinking wine from a box? The Constitution doesn't apply globally. It applies to Americans. Illegal aliens and green card holders who break the law or support terrorism, they don't get the same rights. Democrats want America to be the world's doormat. Trump and MAGA, they want it to be strong again. Trump is doing what every single country on earth would do, protect its citizens first. So Democrats can cry all they want, but we don't owe green card holders the privilege of staying here when they spit on our values. And Elon Musk, he's right. There with Trump, cutting through the noise, draining the swamp, and exposing the radical fringe. Like, subscribe, and share this if you're done letting woke radicals rewrite what free speech actually means.